is section 3.7 on solving formulas. This is our last section in chapter 3 before our test, and is one of the harder sections that we do. So here we're going to start by solving for y. And so in all these problems that we're going to do here, we're going to solve for y. Okay? So when I solve for formulas, I think it's easiest if I circle what I'm solving for. So I'm going to circle my y, because that's what I want to solve for. And my goal is to get everything that's on the side with the y by itself. Or get rid of everything on the side with the y so the y is by itself. That makes more sense. So when I look at the side with the y, okay, when I look over here, what I've seen that they've done is that they added 3x. Okay, so remember from before, we get rid of addition and subtraction first, and then multiplication and division. So addition, if it'll work. Addition and subtraction first, then multiplication and division. Okay, so remember our order. But all they've done here for number 1 is that they've added 3x. Okay, so the opposite of adding the positive 3x is to minus 3x. So let's do that. Let's minus 3x from both sides. So I know on the left side my 3x's cancel. Leaves me with just y. But on the right side here, I have 21 minus 3x. I cannot combine the 21 and the 3x because they're not like terms. Because this one has an x and this one does not. So I'm simply going to write down exactly what it says. So what it says is 21 minus 3x. So I'm going to write 21 minus 3x. Okay, again, I cannot combine those because they're not like terms, since one has an x and one does not. So I'm going to simply write down what it says, which is 21 minus 3x. Okay, again, I'm solving for y, so I know I'm done because y is by itself. So these formulas are going to look different because I'm not going to get a number answer. Okay, because I cannot combine the terms because they're not the same. So know that in all of these, I'm never going to come up with a number answer. Let's try number 3. So again, I'm going to circle the letter I want to solve for, which in this case is y. So again, when I look at y, what did they do to it? Well, they multiplied it by 2, and they added a positive x. So again, my rule says get rid of addition and subtraction first. So the opposite of adding the positive 3x, adding the positive x, that 3 is the problem number, we're going to minus x. Okay, minus x from both sides. I know that my x's cancel, so I'm left on the right or the left side with 2y equals. Again, I cannot combine these because they're not like terms. I'm going to write down exactly what it says. It says 1 minus x. We're not done yet because the y is not by itself. When I look and see what they did, they multiplied by 2, so we're going to divide by 2. And in this case, I'm going to divide every piece by 2. So I'm going to divide this piece by 2 and this piece by 2. So my 2's will cancel there, leave me with y equals 1 divided by 2. It's a decimal, so we're going to leave it 1/2. Remember, there is a 1 in front of this x, so I have minus. 1 divided by 2 is, again, a decimal, so we leave it 1/2 x. So this here is my answer. I know I'm done because y is by itself. Okay, again, always looking to get y by itself. And remember, with these formulas, we're not going to end up with a number answer, because I cannot combine these things that are not like terms. So what we did with all the other ones was we were solving and combining all the like terms to end up with just a number. With formulas, that's not the case. Okay, so again, I'm going to start by circling for number 5, the y, which is what I want to solve for. When I look at what they did to y, I can see that they multiplied by 5, and they added a positive x. So our rules say get rid of addition and subtraction first. So the opposite of adding a positive x is to minus an x. And the opposite of positive x is negative x. to both sides of the equal sign. So I'm left with 5y equals, again, these are not like terms because one has an x, one does not. So we're going to write exactly what it says. It says 51 minus x. I'm not done because the y is not by itself. So let's see what they did to y. When I look here, they multiplied it by 5. So we're going to divide by 5. And in this case, I'm going to divide every piece by 5. And remember, there is a 1 out in front here. So my 5's will cancel here, which leaves me with y equals 51 divided by 5, again, does not work. We get a decimal, so we're just going to leave it a fraction. Minus 1 divided by 5, again, doesn't work. It's a decimal. So I'm going to leave 1/5 x. Let's switch down so we can see some more problems here. On to 7. So again, I start by circling the letter I'm solving for, which in this case is y. When I look and see what they did to y, they multiplied it by 2, and they added the positive x. Okay. So we're going to start by getting rid of addition and subtraction first, which tells me I have to get rid of addition. So the opposite of the positive x is negative x. Okay. So I'm left on the left side with 2y equals. These are again not like terms, so I'm going to write down exactly what it says, which is 10 minus x. Not done yet because the y is not by itself. So look and see what they did so I can undo it. They multiplied by 2, so I'm going to divide by 2. Every piece by 2. Remember, there's a 1 out in front here. So my 2's will cancel here, leaving me with y equals. And I'm just going through and simplifying. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Minus 1 divided by 2 is a decimal, so we're going to leave it a fraction. 1/2 x. Also, you can notice that if I'm solving for my letter y here in number 9, you can notice that I'm starting from the outside and I'm working my way toward the y. So if I look back at number 7 here, the first thing I did, if I was solving for y, was I got rid of the x. And then I got rid of the 2. So I'm moving toward the y. Starting as far away from the y as possible and moving closer. So again, I look at the y and I'm going to undo what was done. So what they did was they multiplied it by -7 and they added a positive 6x. So remember, we follow the sign in front, not the sign behind. So 6x is positive, so they added the 6x. We don't follow the minus sign behind it. So if we get rid of addition and subtraction first, the opposite of positive 6x is minus 6x. Okay, to both sides of the equal sign. So I have -7y equals 7 minus 6x. Okay, again, remember, we cannot combine those because one has an x and one does not. To get y by itself, they multiplied by -7, so I'm going to divide by -7. Okay, every piece by -7. So y equals 7 divided by -7 is -1. When I look here, I have 2 negatives. I know that 2 negatives make a positive, so it's going to be plus. 6 divided by 7 is a decimal, so we leave it a fraction, 6/7x. Okay. One last one here. Let's do number 11. Okay, so again, I start by circling the letter I'm solving for, which in this case is y. Then I'm going to look and see what they did to y, which we multiplied by -3, and they added the x. Remember, we're following the sign in front of the x, not the sign behind the x. So if we're going to get rid of addition and subtraction first, we're going to get rid of that x. So the opposite of positive x is minus x. Alright, so our x's cancel. So I'm left with negative 3y equals, again, we cannot combine these, so we're just going to write exactly what it says. Negative 84 minus x. Now we're going to divide each piece by negative 3. Because what they did here was they multiplied by negative 3, so we're going to divide by negative 3. Each piece. So y equals, you have negative 84 divided by 3, which is 28. Okay, again, those two negatives here made the positive, just like the two negatives here are going to make a positive. So it's going to be plus. I know there's a 1 in front of that x. 1 divided by 3 is a decimal. So we're going to leave it 1/3 x. Okay. So this is the first part of our solving formulas, where we're solving equations for y. So remember, I went through, let's review here. I circled the letter I was solving for. I looked to see what was done to the y, so they multiplied by negative 3, and they added the x. We get rid of addition and subtraction first, so I subtracted x. Remembering that I cannot combine these because these are not the same, I'm going to write exactly what it says, which was negative 84 minus x. The next thing I did was they divided by negative 3 because they multiplied by negative 3. Okay, dividing each piece by negative 3 and then simplifying. So at this point you're going to stop and you're going to do section 3.7 checkpoint 1. So 3.7 checkpoint 1.